Um, Good day, my dear students. I just hope that everybody is doing well today. I know that we have already covered some important ideas and concepts so far in our discussion with respect to program administration. And now we are going to take a moment to revisit and explore those ideas in a little more detail. And at the outset, we already laid the groundwork by discussing the key points and the overarching themes. And now it is time for us to break those points uh, thoroughly so that we can gain a deeper understanding and appreciation on the subject matter. And this will also help us see how the concepts are fitting together and how we can apply them in various contexts. So, what are we doing today is basically we're taking closer to each components that we already touched earlier, and these components are the building blocks of the larger ideas of which we have been discussing. So, by examining them in a more depth way, we'll be able to connect, okay, the dots between the theory and practice and understand by the students that all of these components must work together in order to form a complete picture. And now, as we go through this, I just want to encourage you to think critically and reflect on how these components must contribute to the broader concepts of which uh, this is uh, essential, no? That you do not only understand the details, but also to recognize their significance, okay, and relevance to the overall topic. So I invite you to have questions as you may have so that uh, we can ensure that everybody is on the same page and so that we can ensure that everyone will leave um, today's discussion with a clearer understanding. So let's now begin exploring these components in detail. So we'll move through each of the components, okay, step by step. And I'm excited to engage with you as we will be uncovering the depth of this topic. Okay, of course, we will be discussing about problem identification, needs assessment, setting goals, objectives, and scope, budgeting and financial planning, and ethical and legal considerations. Okay, program planning and design. Okay, it has been said that the program planning and design is the fundamental phase in public program administration as it establishes the blueprint, okay, for addressing societal issues, societal problems, societal concerns, and societal interests, aligning with the policy objectives. Okay, remember, public policy is the principle, okay, or the decision of the government to addressing societal issues, problems, concerns, and interests. And while program administration is the execution arm of that principle or decision. Okay? Kaya niya nasabing program planning and design is a fundamental phase because it establishes the blueprint. Meaning, planning, my dear students, is the groundwork for all actions. Okay? As we have classified it, okay, or defined it earlier, okay, planning is the precondition to implementation. And that's it. Okay? Planning is the groundwork for all actions. Okay? In a common parlance, when we say planning, this answers the question, what does the government wants to achieve and how will the government achieve it? On a personal note, okay, of course, meron din tayong pagpaplano sa buhay, ano? And planning is what we want to achieve in life. And not only that, okay, it's not only what we want to achieve in life, but how will we achieve it? See? Ganon kahalaga no yung tinatawag nating pagpaplano because it answers the two, okay, utmost relevant questions. What do you want in life? Okay? What do you want in life? What do you want to achieve in life and how will you achieve it? Okay? In the context of program administration, planning answers the questions, what does the government wants to achieve and how should the government achieve it? Okay? Now, planning is said to be the uh, baseline for the measurement of success. Why? Okay, let me tell you this, my dear students. Planning is often referred, okay, as the baseline measurement, okay, of success, basically because it establishes, okay, the framework for what needs to be accomplished, and it provides now the initial criteria against which progress and outcomes can be measured. Okay? So kaya nga nasabing planning is the baseline measurement of success. Okay? Because it establishes the framework for what needs to be accomplished. Okay? And it provides the initial criteria against which progress and outcomes can be measured. Kung hindi nagmaterialize, okay, yung bagay na napagplanuhan, okay, we can consummately conclude that there is no success, di ba? In program administration. Ganun kahalaga ang pagpaplano. Okay? Kaya siya nasabing baseline, okay, measurement for success. Okay. But how should we carry this? We should carry this, okay, effectively and efficiently. Okay. When we say effectively, dapat meron tayong deliverables. When we say, where are the deliverables? Okay. We are also asking, where are the results? When we say effectiveness, that speaks of results. And when we say uh, efficiency, there has to be a resource optimization. Okay? Ibig sabihin, ng effectiveness and efficiency, we are targeting a maximum success with a minimum cost. Hanggat maaari, if we can target two birds in one bullet, we have to do it that way. Why? Because yun yung point ng effectiveness and efficiency for us to reach, for us to attain, okay, the optimum success with minimum cost. Hanggat kaya, hanggat practical, hanggat realistic. Okay, we have to attain the optimum success by way of a minimum cost. Okay, result is for effectiveness. Resource optimization is for efficiency. Okay, that's it. That is our formula, no? Okay. Now let's move on with the problem identification. It says here that the process of recognizing and defining the specific issue or challenge a program must seek to address, okay, uh, form parts the idea of problem identification. So there has to be a recognition, okay? There has to be a definition of that specific issue or challenge to which a program is seeking to address, okay? And it says here that uh, there has to be a targeting of the root cause of a problem, okay? There has to be a targeting of the root cause of a problem so that resources are being used effectively and efficiently rather than being diverted to addressing only the symptoms and now leading to more impactful outcomes. When we say we are targeting the root cause, okay, what do we mean by that? You know, there has to be uh, itong tinatawag nating root cause analysis. You know what? The root cause analysis, my dear students, is very scientific, no? It's a very scientific approach so that the government has to identify the underlying factors that gives a rise to a social challenge. Okay? Napakahalaga. Sabi ko nga, scientific because, you know, with that approach, it is uh, possible that the government would distinguish uh, between the symptoms. Okay? If it is immediate, kung immediate symptoms lang yan, o di kaya surface level effects lang yan, okay? Or di kaya yung bagay na yan ay talagang the root causes or the deeper cause of a certain social challenge. So, okay, let me give you an example, no, for us to exemplify the concept. If there is a high youth unemployment in a community, okay, consider if there is a high youth unemployment in a community, symptoms might include lack of job, okay, o yung tinatawag nating lack of job opportunities, o di kaya yung tinatawag nating poor educational outcomes. Okay? However, the root causes could involve issues such as inadequate access to quality education. Okay? Or di kaya pwede naman yung tinatawag nating lack of skills training. Or di kaya yung tinatawag nating socio-economic inequality. O di kaya yung tinatawag nating systematic discrimination. So you see, with this given example, okay, yung unemployment ng youth, kaya nandyan yung simptomas ng lack of job opportunities. Kala natin yun na yung mismong root causes niya. Or di kaya yung mismong poor educational outcomes lang. But however, Okay, the scenario suggests that there are still factors that yet to be considered, factors that are deeper. Baka nga, baka nga yung unemployment na yan dahil yan sa tinatawag nating inadequate access to quality education. Okay? Or di kaya yung lack of skills training. Okay? Yung socio-economic inequality and of course the systematic discrimination. Okay? Systematic discrimination. Parang kumbaga naka-default na sa kaisipan ng industriya that if you are from a rural area, you are not that quite fitted to work in a highly urbanized industrialized area. So that, okay, is a systematic discrimination. So maaring yun yung root cause, okay, more than the mere symptoms na meron tayong, okay, poor educational outcomes o di kaya lack of job opportunities. Okay? So, napakahalaga ng problem identification. Okay? Because the process itself helps the government recognize, okay, the specific issue or challenge that has to be addressed. Anong i-address natin if we cannot recognize it? Diba? If we cannot clearly state kung ano ba yan. So we have to recognize and we have to define. Okay? Now, let's move on with the needs assessment. Okay? And it says here that needs assessment is a structured approach to determining the gap between the current conditions and the desired state within a community or population. Okay? Practically, it is the rule of life that first thing first, ika nga, no? We cannot narrow the gap unless it is being determined. Kaya napaka-importante na magkaroon tayo ng approach to determining these gaps. Okay? And the formula is quite basic. Okay? Needs assessment is all about here and there. Here is the current conditions and there is the desired state. Okay? Here in the Philippines, okay? Now, considering the current situation of our educational system, the Philippines faces challenges in terms of access to quality education. Okay? Alam naman natin 'yan, no? Particularly in rural and the impoverished areas. There are issues with overcrowded classrooms, or if not, there are insufficient school facilities, and there seems to be a disparities there seems to be disparities in educational outcomes between the urban and the rural regions. Okay? And the desired condition must be a robust educational system. Okay? Because with that robust educational system, it shall ensure, my dear students, an equitable access to quality education, okay, for all Filipinos. Much true with those who are marginalized. And just like what I have said, okay, uh, what is preceding to narrowing this gap is the determination of the gap itself, of which nakita na natin yung current situation, and of course we already laid some desired conditions. Now let us consider some of the efforts of the government in order to close the gap or to narrow these gaps. Okay, alam naman natin na ang government, okay, ay nagsagawa ng kanilang aksyon, okay, which aims to improve the quality education and align our system with the global standards. Okay, and therefore, nagkaroon tayo ng K to 12 program so that it would extend basic education to 12 years. Okay, kindergarten plus 12 years of primary and secondary education. Okay, just so to improve, sabi ng government, just so to improve the quality of education and so that it will align, okay, into the global standards. Okay, dahil totoo nga naman na itong sistema na ito ay namana din natin sa ibang bansa. Nakopya natin sa ibang bansa. Okay? And meron din tayong tinatawag na educational assistance. Okay? Programs like the free tertiary education, which is okay, codified as law, yung tinatawag nating Free Tertiary Education Act, which offers now a free tuition in the state universities and colleges. Of course, that aimed to reduce the financial barriers to higher education, uh, especially for the students from low-income families. Okay. Another intervention is the barangay learning hubs, lalo na sa remote areas. Local government units, okay, have established this, okay, to provide educational support, okay, lalong-lalo na when the COVID-19 pandemic hit us. Okay, alam naman natin that many students struggled, no, with distance learning, and as a matter of intervention, okay, nagkaroon ng mga learning hubs, okay, sa different LGUs, more so with the remote areas. So again, after determining the gap, it is just but proper that we have to close this gap. Okay, so need assessment is ideally, okay, to determine and to close. Okay, hindi lang yung i-determine natin yung gap, but to narrow the gap. Okay, it's all about the here and there. Here is the condition, or here is the current condition, and there is the desired condition. Okay, so need assessment should ensure that programs are being responsive to current and specific needs rather than the generalized assumptions. Okay. Now, we move on to setting goals, objectives, and scope. Okay. It says here that goals are the overarching intentions of the program, while the objectives outline the precise actions, targets, or milestones that the program will pursue to a set time frame. Scope shall define the boundaries of the program, including the target population, the geographic area, the timeline, and resource limitations. So here, uh, as if the goal setting would help us determine the overall purpose of the program. And therefore, it answers the question, my dear students, that what do we want to achieve? Okay, what do we want to achieve? Okay. Now, with the respect to objectives, objectives break down the broader goals into a more specific, okay, measurable, achievable, okay, uh, realistic, and time-bound actions, which basically help to outline the steps required to reach the goals. The scope now, my dear student, defines the boundaries of the program so that it will ensure that the activities and resources are focused on the intended targets without, of course, diverting attention to unrelated audience or unrelated issues. Okay. For example, okay, uh, for a healthcare program aimed to reduce maternal mortality, okay, the goal could be to improve maternal health outcomes in rural areas. The objectives could include to increase access to prenatal care by 30% within 2 years, or to train 100 community health workers to provide maternal health education. Okay? And the scope now defines kung ano yung specific geographic region as our target population. Okay? With that, I just hope that that basically facilitates a fundamental understanding to setting goals, objectives, and scope. Okay? Budgeting and financial planning. Okay? There has to be an estimation of the total cost that is required to implement a program. Okay? That includes personnel, materials, equipment, and operational expenses. Okay, so ang pinaka life blood ng program ay hindi natin maipagkakaila na it has to be a fiscal resources. Okay? Sapagkat papaano natin mapapagalaw. Okay, sabihin man natin na marami tayong human resources, sabihin man natin ah, we have the vast uh, um, resources with respect to materials and equipment, if walang fiscal resources, we cannot move no heaven and earth. We cannot, facilitate this personnel to act accordingly sapagkat anong ipapasahod natin sa kanila, 'di ba? How will we also sustain our materials? How will we also sustain our equipments? Much more with the operational expenses being incurred each day, okay, na ini-implement yung program. So there has to be, okay, fiscal resources, and with that there has to be a estimation of a total cost that is required to implement, okay, all of this. Okay. This typically includes creating a line item budgets so that, of course, with the line item budgets, ka-indicate doon sa kung anong specific category siya belong. Okay. While also giving a premium and importance to establishing contingency funds for unexpected cost and aligning the budget with program objectives. Okay, with respect to contingency funds, in planning, there has to be a contingency plan then. Okay, a contingency plan. The need for a contingency plan, my dear students, and a contingency fund is critical, okay, in program management because, or the program administration, because it prepares, okay, it prepares the program administrators and the program beneficiaries for any unexpected events or situations. Those unexpected events, those unexpected situations might disrupt the planned course of action. And with the contingency plan now and contingency fund, it will ensure that despite the disruptions, perceived or unperceived, okay, disruptions, there has to be a continuous operation. Okay? A continuous operation. Kaya nga, there are, sabi ko nga, vast reasons why we have to consider contingency plan and contingency fund. Okay? Una, that is to ensure the continuity of operation despite being disrupted. Okay? Pangalawa, the contingency plan or the contingency fund will help manage and mitigate the risk. Not only that, okay, with that unexpected event or situation, it helps the program administrators and beneficiaries to maintain their flexibility and adaptability. Okay? And not only that, uh, isa pa sa rason kung bakit dapat mayroong contingency plan is for us to protect the stakeholders' interest. Lalo na kung yung programang ini-implement ay meron tayong kapartner dyan. Okay, partner individuals, partner companies, partner industries na nagpunla din ng kanilang ambag para sa ah, katuparan ng programang iyan. So, with the contingency plan, we help them to be protected. Okay, yung interest din nila. Lalo na kung napakalaki na masyado yung naiambag nila. Okay, para maisakatuparan ang programa ng pamahalaan. Okay? And financial planning involves developing a long-term strategy, of course, for the funding of the program. It secures, okay, financial sustainability. Okay? Why, obviously, parang budgeting and financial planning ang kinonsidera lang natin sa pagkakataong ito. Sabi ko nga, um, napakahalaga din na meron tayong mga personnel, material equipments, and operational resources. But on top of this, kung walang fiscal resources na magpapaandar sa mga ito, we cannot carry out, yung tinatawag nating program administration. Okay? So, fiscal resources are the lifeblood of the program administration. Ethical and legal considerations. Ethical considerations in program administration involve adhering to the principles of fairness. Okay, we have to adhere to the principles of integrity. We have to adhere to the principles of transparency, more so with respect for the rights of every individual. Okay. Ethical issues can arise in areas such as data privacy, the equitable access to program benefits, and resource allocation. Legal considerations also involve complying with relevant laws, regulations, and policies at local, national, and sometimes international levels. Okay, and this also includes uh, some uh, legal frameworks, okay, specific to the administering of programs. Okay. Simple lang unawain ito, my dear students. Ethical and legal considerations has to ensure, okay, it has to ensure that we operate within the bounds of law. Okay. And that if we operate within the bounds of law, okay, we don't tend to forget the respect for human rights. We don't tend to forget, okay, a prevention of the exploitation, so that we can always uh, make it fair, okay, by adhering to these principles. Okay, we advance trust, we foster accountability. Okay, of course, with accountability, there has to be responsibility, of which these are all essential for the success of the program administration. Let us always remember, my dear students, that as administrators, we are not just managing programs. Okay? We are shaping the futures of individuals. We are shaping the futures of our community. Okay? We are shaping the futures of our societies. So, there has to be a commitment to ethical and legal standards, so that this commitment to the ethical and legal considerations will help us determine, okay, the legacy that we are leaving them behind. Okay, the ethical and legal standards will determine the legacy that we are leaving them behind. So with that, okay, let me quickly summarize our points. When we say problem identification, okay, there has to be an identifying of the problem as a foundational step in program administration, as it would help us define the focus and the purpose of our program. And when we say needs assessment, okay, we conduct a needs assessment so that we will ensure that the program really addresses the actual needs of the target population, rather than we dwell only on the assumptions. Okay. Sabi ko nga, ang formula lang natin dyan, here and there. Here is the current situation. There is the desired situation. And after that determination of gap, we have to close the gap. Okay. Um, of course, we also have the setting of goals, objectives, and scope, which establishes a, a, uh, a, a critical success of the program, okay, because it provides us direction, measurable outcomes, and a framework for us to implement the said program. So we also have the budgeting and financial planning. Of course, with financial and budgeting planning, it ensures that the program has the necessary resources to operate, okay, and that funds are being allocated efficiently. So this step, my dear student, is um, a key step to sustaining the program over time, and so that it would avoid the financial mismanagement. And last but not the least ay yung tinatawag nating ethical and legal considerations, so that we adhere to the fundamentals of maintaining the program's credibility, that it would also ensure that we comply with legal frameworks, that rights are being protected, and the welfare of those being involved are being promoted, while ensuring the essence of fairness, the accountability, and the transparency. Okay, that could underscore, okay, the program success. So with that, thank you very much for listening, my dear students.